I've noticed something about the people I work with. The ones who make the best decisions in life. They're not the most educated, not the most experienced. They just know how to ask themselves the right questions. Today, I want to share 10 of those questions with you through real stories from real life. Because one good question can make you smarter right now. So, let's find out together. Question 1. What if I'm wrong? A father was convinced his son was just lazy. Didn't want to study. Didn't even try. Every conversation turned into criticism. Every evening turned into tension. But one day he stopped and asked himself, what if I'm wrong? He sat down and just talked. No accusations, no assumptions. Turns out, his son hadn't understood the material for months. He was scared to admit it, scared to disappoint. The father thought he saw laziness. What he actually saw was fear. One question changed their relationship. But admitting you're wrong is one thing. What's harder is understanding what's actually going on. That's what question 2 is about. Question 2. What's really going on here? A store owner couldn't figure out why customers kept leaving. Prices were fair, products were good, ads were running. He brought in a consultant. The consultant spent one day in the store and asked a simple question. What's really going on here? The staff were cold. Not rude, just indifferent. People bought once, but never came back. The problem wasn't the price. It wasn't the ads. It was the atmosphere. The surface said one thing. Reality said something else entirely. Seeing the depth of a situation is powerful. But what do you do when everything you've tried just isn't working? There's one move that changes everything. Question 3. What if I did the opposite? Every morning, a mom woke her son up for school, yelling, pleading, dragging him out of bed. Every morning, a battle. Every morning, a bad start for both of them. One day she asked herself, what if I did the opposite? She stopped waking him up. Day 1, he was late. Got a warning from his teacher. Day 2, he got up on his own. Day 3, he set an alarm. When she stopped solving his problem, he started solving it himself. Sometimes the best way to help is to step back. Breaking the pattern is powerful. But sometimes the problem isn't the approach. We're just spending our energy in the wrong place. That's where a completely different question comes in. Question 4. What actually matters here? 2 friends hadn't spoken in 3 months. They'd fought over money. One lent it. The other was late paying back. Resentment, silence, tension. One of them stopped and asked, what actually matters here? The money? Or 10 years of friendship? The answer was obvious. He called first. Not to argue, but to save what they had. The money came back a month later. The friendship came back that same evening. Finding what matters is already a win. But even a focused person can miss something important. We all have blind spots. Question 5. What might I be missing? A man noticed his friends were slowly drifting away. He hadn't done anything wrong. He couldn't understand why. He asked himself, what am I missing? Then he remembered. He always talked about himself, his life, his problems, and he never asked how anyone else was doing. He started asking, and actually listening. People came back. Seeing what you've been missing is important, but there's something even deeper. Understanding the people in the situation, not just the situation itself. Question 6. Why do people act this way? A boy was getting into fights almost every week. Teachers punished him. Parents scolded him. The principal threatened him. Nothing worked. One teacher asked himself, why does he act this way? Turns out, home was chaos. His parents fought constantly. The boy didn't know any other way to deal with the pressure. The teacher gave him small responsibilities, something to focus on. The fights stopped. Understanding people is wisdom. But you know what stops us from acting even when we already understand? We get in our own way. Question 7. Can I make this a lot simpler? A daughter felt guilty. She never called her mom enough. She kept thinking she needed to find the right time, a proper conversation, cover everything. But the right time never came. Weeks kept passing. She asked herself, how do I simplify this? She started calling on her commute. 10 minutes, no agenda. Her mom was happy. So was she. Simplifying means starting to move. But moving without direction is just noise. Where to go next? That's the real question. Question 8. What happens next? Parents did everything for their son, made every decision, removed every obstacle. It felt like the right thing to do. But one day, they asked themselves, what happens next? Who will he become? A boy who never has to figure things out grows into a man who doesn't know how. They started giving him small challenges, on purpose. He learned to handle things himself. Thinking ahead is a strength. But there's another level. Seeing what others simply don't notice. That's what changes the quality of every decision. Question 9. How does this connect to other ideas? A girl was terrified of public speaking. She read advice. She practiced. Nothing helped. Then she learned, athletes use a specific breathing technique before competing. A slow exhale calms the nervous system. She tried it before her next presentation. The fear didn't disappear, but it became manageable. Sports gave her what psychology couldn't explain. Seeing connections between ideas is powerful, but none of it means anything without one final step. The simplest one, and the most important. Question 10. What's the most reasonable next step? Two people had a falling out. Resentment had been hanging between them for months. Both were waiting for the other one to reach out first. One of them asked himself, what's the most reasonable next step? Not the proudest move, the most reasonable one. He texted first. One simple message. This friendship matters to me. Can we talk? That was enough. Take a second. We just went through 10 questions. But the most important thing isn't the questions. It's what you do next. These questions won't change anything if you stay a passive observer. But if you take even one of them and start asking it regularly, you'll notice your decisions shifting, your relationships changing, your thinking shifting. The choice is always yours, and it starts with one question.